Welcome everyone to the Dr. Abs Healthcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Abasolo, aka Dr. Abs. And on today's show, we have health coach Tim James. Now, Tim has an amazing health journey. After suffering from multiple health issues, including rectal bleeding, 2 separate skin issues, chronic acid indigestion, and surgery to remove one of his organs due to serious digestive issues, Tim knew something had to change. But it was only after watching his closest ones die of cancer and the untimely death of his younger brother that he finally decided to take action. Tim's journey led him to a shocking discovery which helped his friend beat cancer and transform every area of his life. Feeling charged with the duty to help others, he started sharing his knowledge with anyone that would listen. This led him to producing his own chemical-free food products, and Chemical-Free Body was born. Tim's inbox is constantly flooded with people singing and dancing about how his products have given them a life they couldn't believe was possible. His story will have you laughing, crying, and gasping, but most importantly, he will give you the recipe to a longer, happier, and healthier life. I can't wait to talk to Tim, so let's get the interview started. Welcome to the show, Tim. How you doing today?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. So obviously you're coming with a wealth of knowledge when it comes to nutrition and health and detox. So I want to give the audience a little bit of background on you. How did you become a health hero? Like, talk to me a little bit about your backstory.
Well, like a lot of people, I grew up on the standard American diet. I actually grew up over in Eastern Oregon, which is kind of like Montana. It's a small community up in the mountains, 11,000 people. And I didn't even live in town. I lived out in the country on the farm. And, hunting and fishing my whole life, had a lot of fun. I played baseball at a high level for 30 years. And at age 37, I found myself 38 pounds overweight, was very tired, wasn't sleeping well. I had skin issues really bad. I had eczema on both of my elbows, a huge patch on my left knee. I had another skin disorder on my right back shoulder. Wasn't feeling good. Acid indigestion really bad, eating tons of Rolaids daily, like all the time, basically eating them like candy. And then finally, I started bleeding rectally, and that went on for about 2 years. I didn't really tell anybody. And then I was on a vacation, and then I had to get rushed, down to Lima in a hospital to get surgery in Peru to get an organ removed. Yeah, great vacation. Destroyed the vacation for myself and our whole family, and everything was terrible. Yikes. Ended up coming back on the airplane in a freaking wheelchair. And here I am supposed to be this, this tough guy, right? And that sucked. So I knew my health was out of control. I was literally rotting from the inside out, but I didn't understand internal awareness at all at that point in time, or the gut, any of this stuff, or how to heal from the inside out. I knew nothing. I thought I was smart because I was eating lots of protein and, drinking milk for bones and eating lots of meat. What do you have for lunch? I'll get the chicken teriyaki bowl and give me some extra chicken. That was my solution to good health, was more meat. And what that got me was pretty messed up. So a good friend of mine on my baseball team, Kalei Mahoy, contracted stomach cancer. And then he went through, chemo and radiation, all that kind of stuff. And then he died 80 pounds under his weight and left 3 boys behind from ages 6 to 17. So that was a shitty deal for all of us. Then we got a bunch of grown men, crying at the church, and we did a fundraiser for him, and that sucked. And then right after that, one of my best friends, Charles, gets diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which supposedly at the time was an incurable cancer. And I thought, oh boy, he's toast. Kalei died, he got it, he tried everything, it didn't work. He did the whole round with all that stuff. And my aunt before that had died of skin cancer, melanoma. My grandma died before that of brain tumor. So my experience is you get cancer and that's it, you're toast. Yeah. And I thought that's what was going to be the case for Charles. But he said, hey, look, I found this place in Florida called the Hippocrates Health Institute. I don't know, have you heard of those guys?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, so in West Palm Beach, Florida. Yeah, it's run by doctors Brian and Anna Maria Clement, but it was actually started by this gal named Ann Wigmore that healed herself literally with like herbs and lawn grass. Like she was like juicing lawn grass, because grass is grass is grass. It was the chlorophyll inside of it and all these phytochemicals and enzymes and hormones and oxygen that's in these living foods that nobody's talking about or doesn't really understand because we just haven't been taught that. Yep. So I go there with him just to support him, thinking my buddy's dying. He asked me to go. I'm going to do whatever he takes to help him and support him. He's not going to be around long. So So we go to this place and, by osmosis, I'm thrown into this lifestyle. And on the plane flight, Charles is like, oh, Tim, by the way, when we get there, there's no meat, no dairy, no salt, no sugar. Nothing's cooked over 115 degrees. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, no meat? And like, how are you going to heal? Where are you going to get your protein? I was like, but finally I'm like, you know what? Charles has got cancer, to hell with it. Focus on him. Don't worry about yourself. You probably just eat a salad for a week. But honestly, I was freaked out, like big time.
Yeah.
So we get there, they start putting us all these juices and fresh waters and fresh green juices and no sugar, any of that stuff, all these raw living foods, just basically fresh vegetables and fresh sprouts. I mean, it's these big piles of it, avocados and all these things. And day one, my acid indigestion was gone. We learned a class called Internal Awareness, a 3.5-hour class that everybody should learn. And they taught us that the average person's carrying around about 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material, mucoid plaque lining the small and large intestine. And I'm like, dude, that's gross.
Yep.
But I'm elbowing Charles because they're trying to get us to do a colonic or colon hydrotherapy session, which you're probably familiar with, but I never heard of it. And I'm like, I told Charles, like, look, dude, I'm going to fly here to Florida from Oregon, but I ain't doing that deal.
It's pleasant. Let me tell you that. It feels good after the fact, but while it's going on, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's like, I ain't going to do that. But by the time that doctor got done talking, I'm like, I was the first one signing up on the list. Yeah. And by the way, this doctor, he was jacked. I mean, this guy was ripped. He was in shape. I mean, like, and I was like, wow, man, you look great. How old are you? I thought he's like 40. He's like, oh, I just turned 50 today. I'm like, what? You're 50? So that was the common theme was that the people that have been working in that place for 10, 15, 20 years, they look 10, 15, 20 years younger than the regular population. So, success leaves clues. But I was still like, how could some little podunk place like this help people heal cancer? It'd be on the news. Everybody be talking about it. That's just common sense. Why, and come to find out that they've been doing this stuff for years. Over 600,000 people have been through their door, and they've helped lots of them, like Venus Williams when she was diagnosed with lupus. They're the ones that helped heal her. They've had so many people there. They've helped a couple people win gold medals, sprinters and stuff like that, but they don't really get promoted that much. That's why I like promoting them because, they're a small nonprofit organization, and they just like they need help, and we need to help these types of places that are helping people. So long story short, I did the colon hydrotherapy session, and I weighed myself before and I weighed myself after, and I dropped 10 pounds. So nice. I literally had, like the doctor said, he goes, Tim, you got 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. And I was like, whoa. So, I went through that experience, and they also took and did a live blood cell microscopy where they took my blood and looked at it under a microscope and showed me. And then up above that, there was a picture of a healthy blood, and off to the right, unhealthy blood. Well, my blood like the unhealthy blood. And I'm like, I want my blood to look like that. And the nurse is like, well, you stick on this lifestyle, it'll start going that way. And it will be even closer that way by the time you leave here. So then I came back and I got the blood test again, and then my blood had improved substantially. Like they educate you on the Rouleau effect and all that.
How did you feel physically?
Oh, dude, it was awesome. Like day one, my acid indigestion that had been plaguing me for years, gone. I mean, it was just like it didn't exist anymore, right? Now by Wednesday, I'm kind of freaking out. Right, because I'm going through this healing crisis because I went from an acid diet, everything cooked, processed, canned, boxed, jarred, all these things, and not healthy stuff. I was eating, I'd eat a ton of donuts if I get my hands on them. Yeah. And then I was very irritable. I had night sweats that Wednesday night when I went to bed. And they said somewhere around day 4 or 5, you'll wake up and you'll feel really good. I was like, oh my God, please, I don't want to go through another day of this detox. They called it doing surgery without a knife. So I went through that deal. I woke up on Thursday and I felt amazing. But there were other people that had continued that got in the same week that I joined, that it took another day or two before they got better. And these people, some of them had rashes breaking out all over their body as their body was pushing out toxins. People had parasites crawling out of pores. One lady had a parasite crawling out of her eye. Yeah. And you see parasites coming out in your stools, not just the big long ones, but your stools can get white and fuzzy. Or they said there's parasites that are microscopic that your human eye can't see. So your body is basically becoming very high oxygen and very alkaline. And then harmful organisms like viruses and bacteria, molds, yeast, fungus, and parasites, they don't like that. They like low oxygen and acid. And they like to, make you eat sugar. And then they eat your food, and then they crap and pee in you and create more problems. Yeah. So all that stuff is coming out of us. Everybody's healing. And it was awesome. And by the end of that the first week, I dropped 11 pounds, and I've been trying to lose weight forever. But I felt like I was 19 again. So we left, we came back, we implemented the lifestyle. I started growing sprouts and doing all this stuff and juicing twice a day, no matter what. And my buddy heals himself in a little over 2 years, just like they said. But within 60 days, my acid, everything was gone, dude. My elbows had healed up. The eczema was gone. It was only the huge patch of eczema on my knee. It took 8 months, but now it's been 10 years. I'm 47. I maintain ideal health and beyond. And now it's not heal myself. It's how healthy can I get? How young can I look? Absolutely. How long can I live and feel good and be an example to other people, and now show other people how to do what I'm doing.
Absolutely, man. So just curious, what happened to the meat consumption?
It went to zero because Charles, because he was on the healing diet, had to do like none. So, I mean, we could probably get into all that if you want, but and I'm not telling people out there like meat's like the super worst thing. And if you eat it, you're a bad person. I mean, nobody killed more animals than I did. Elk, chuckers, pheasants, deer. I mean, our motto was, if it's brown, it's down. If it flies, it dies. So, I mean, I kind of changed my tune on that, and I went completely plant-based for 8.5 years. And Charles healed himself, but I felt so good. I'm like, why would I go back? But then, 8.5 years ago. So now what'll happen is I've learned to kind of calm down and not be such just a fanatic about stuff, because sometimes you get too fanatical about things and that can actually cause stress and lower your immune system. So I'm not about that. So now I'm all about just being chill, being relaxed, and like if you caught a salmon and you cut it up and, you smoked it and said, Tim, I want to give you a piece of this salmon. I'm going to accept that, and I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to love it and internalize it and know my body's going to handle it. And I probably need a little bit from here and there, but absolutely. It's not a big deal. But if somebody's in a healing crisis, stage 4 something, I think they should be on all plants. But, if they got time, they're not there, then just up your plant intake. That's what we teach people. Don't worry about the meat. Just eat more plants and everything will take care of itself. Yeah.
So Tim, you took your experience and now, you're this big time health coach and you've helped so many people, and you talk about in your program about the core 4 secrets that you teach your clients. Now, can you just discuss with the audience what those 4 core secrets are?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason I put these together is because I had thousands of people come over to my raw living food dinner classes and juicing classes, like thousands and thousands over 5.5 years came to my house. Every Tuesday and Wednesday, we taught these classes. And back then, I healed myself with juicing. So I was selling people on doing what I did, what I learned, like get a juicer and start juicing it twice a day. So all these people were buying juicers, but I found out that after a month or two, the juicers were under the cupboard and they weren't using them anymore. Mm-hmm. And I said, why? You saw Charles, he healed of cancer, and you saw me completely transform myself. I mean, these were business colleagues, insurance agents, financial advisors, real estate people, mortgage brokers, people that I dealt with, appraisers, all these different people that I dealt with in my life in business. And I had a big, huge business network around here. And they said, hey, look, man, it's too hard. I don't want to clean that damn thing, or it's too expensive, or my husband won't help me, my wife won't help me. So they just stopped doing it. And I said, well, what can I do to help you? And they said, I need some plan. I need something simple, and it's got to be doable. So I sat back at the drawing board and I said, what could I do that would cost nothing, that could make the most impact on people's lives if I shared it with them? And originally it was 3 things, and now it's 4. And what that is number 1 is drinking half your body weight in liquid ounces of purified water daily. And if you're in the city where you have the water going through high pressure pipes, then the water also needs to be restructured, because the high pressure pipes will coagulate those water molecules and they make them like bowling balls, and they're not going to go through your intestinal lining, which is the chain link fence analogy, right? Gotcha. So that water needs to be restructured and get really small, because you can drink a lot of water, but it just goes through and you pee it all out. When you get your water restructured from city water, all of a sudden the water just absorbs and disappears, and then you feel it. It gets, it's better getting into your cells. It's better to get in your lymphatic system, to get your waste removal system, everything, your blood, everything needs water. So with that off to the side, just if you're a 200-pound individual, that's 100 ounces a day. And if you're a 100-pound individual, that's 50 ounces a day. So what does that entail? Well, that entails purified water. If you want to make flax water, if you don't know what that is, look it up. It's one of the things we add, healing modalities, that should be in your fridge for gastrointestinal issues, or anybody that wants to look young, feel great. Caffeine-free teas. green juices without sugar, without without beets and carrots and that kind of stuff. So all those things count towards your water intake, right? Hibiscus tea, that kind of stuff.
So is there something in particular that you recommend as like a water purifying system, or something that, I know I've heard of Kangen is great, any of those systems that can actually purify the water and just give you that alkaline?
Well, the Kangen units aren't really purifiers. They're more, they alkalize the water, they will restructure it like amazing. And then they also, what they'll do is they'll, I think they add it's called molecular hydrogen. So they literally charge the water. That way, when you drink it, it literally charges your cells. There's an electrical transfer. So that's awesome. But I like to purify my water first. So I usually send the people that want to get the water information from this gal named Danusha. I call her the water lady or the water goddess, water woman, whatever you want to call her. And Danusha is actually interesting. I had a hard time pronouncing it for a while. Like when I first met her, I'm like, what is it? And it's actually it's Doris in another language. I'll remember it, whatever it is, but I can't remember it right now. But it just means Doris. So it's spelled Dan, D-A-N, and then ouch, like you stub your finger on something, and then A on the end. So Dan Oucha. So if you want information on water, you can find her at Danusha or danoucha.com. So she can help you out with that kind of stuff. But awesome. Purify the water first. And probably the most inexpensive way to do this is just get gallon glass jars and go down to your local grocery store and at least start packing your water and at least get single purified water into your home, because all water today is polluted at some level. I mean, it's pretty bad. And I would say, if you don't take my word for it, just type into your browser umbilical cord and the word chemical. And those three words, umbilical cord and chemical. And you'll see the studies going back to 2005 that'll show that every single blood umbilical cord sample, they look for 400 toxic chemicals. They're finding about 71% of what they look for, about 250. So every time, 180 of these chemicals cause cancer in humans, 212 cause developmental and brain disorders. And this is every single child being born today. The scientists and the doctors refer to it as a body burden. So that's when I sat back and I was like, wow, dude, we are all polluted. Yeah. I'm polluted. You're polluted at some level. So that's when I got into I'm like, I got to detox. I got to become my own mechanic. I got to do this daily detox because I live in a polluted fishbowl. So we got into that. And that's why water is so important, not is for detoxifying the body, but also for hydrating the cells, hydrating the colon, hydrating the brain. The bones are made of 22% water. So everything is needed for water for your body to function properly. And I tell you, I had one gal that did this one thing, and she came to another lecture and she dropped 50 pounds in 8 months. And the only thing she did was change her water intake. That was it. Wow. She did that one thing. And then, and less than 5% of the population is doing this, doctor. So, what that means is that 95% of us have some good news, because as soon as you up your water intake and you make sure it's purified and then city water restructured, you're going to change your life. Okay. So core secret number 2 is chewing your food until liquefied. Less than 4% of the population is doing this. And it's really important. It's the first domino in digestion. And there's a lot that goes on when you do this. Number 1, we have 2 ducts in our upper mouth and 4 in our lower mouth that secrete these enzymes called amylase and lipase, which you're probably familiar with. This breaks down our starches and our carbohydrates. So if you don't chew your food well, then the starches and the carbohydrates are not, and the fats are not going to digest very well, because they need those enzymes to go down into the stomach and then break all that stuff down for good digestion. And for those listening, wondering about protein breaks down with hydrochloric acid and a substance in the stomach called pepsin. So that'll take care of itself. But we have to chew our food really, 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 really well. And then what you'll get then is you'll get digestion and good absorption and elimination. But if you don't chew your food well, then you're going to get gut rot and fermentation and gut rot. And then you're going to be destroying these millions and thousands of little hair-like structures in your intestinal lining called villi. And they take your food through you, and they pull the nutrients in through the intestinal lining into the bloodstream. Yeah. And you get what I got was called leaky gut syndrome. I had these little microscopic tears in my gut, and then undigested food particles and microbes were getting into my bloodstream and causing an inflammation daily. And that's why I was so swollen, was because of water weight and inflammation, not just the extra fat weight that I was carrying, but I was really inflamed. So this is a systemic or internal inflammation that is created simply by not chewing our food. So if you want to lower your inflammation in your body, chew your food well. Yeah. Now, and it's such a problem, because people are always on the go in today's instant, microwave society. It's like,
people eat standing up. I mean, I remember a time where I was at the office and I would literally swallow my food because I had to get back to work. And I'm sure that's, what a lot of people deal with usually. So
yeah,
that's great advice.
I totally do. When I was in sales one time, I remember I was with a client. I said, I'll be right back. I put him on a product and because I grabbed him, because it was very competitive, and then it's like, I'd run into the lunchroom and then run back and like, okay, let's go for, let's go take you around, it's just crazy.
Yeah. No.
But anyway, here, Dr. Gabriel Cousins taught me this. Is really cool. He's a medical doctor who's a completely raw living food vegan, plant-based dude. He's like 80 and he can do 30 pull-ups. So I like that because I like following success, right?
Yeah.
And he's like the only guy that he did this Indian rain dance for like 2 days with no sleep. So, because he was trying to tell all these Indian elders and the chiefs, he's like, no, you need to eat just plants, no more eating meat. And they're like, you're crazy. But none. And they said he does this rain dance for like 2 days. And then afterwards, they're like, nobody's done that in like 50 years. Maybe we should listen to you.
Setting records over there.
Yeah, the dude's like 80. It's amazing. But what he said is that when you chew your food really well, you're actually stimulating your meridian points in your teeth that create serotonin, which is the happy juice. So how many people are depressed today? Well, it's the number one drug out there, prescription drugs. So if you'd like to get rid of your depression, a thing that will start helping is chewing your food really well. So that's better than a pill. Yeah. So that's core secret number 2. And again, less than 4% of people are doing it. So huge opportunity for people here listening to implement this into their life. Core secret number 3 is now that you've chewed your food well, avoiding liquids with meals. Why? Because you work so hard to preload all that food with those digestive enzymes, then even if you drink the most beautiful, pristine, purified, restructured water or beer or wine or apple juice or whatever, you're going to dilute the enzymes and you're going to go from digestion and assimilation back to fermentation and gut rot and leaky gut and all that crap problems that I had, which 90% of people have some form of leaky gut going on down inside of them. That's why we have all these gut issues today and where we're so big on it. So what we recommend is that in the beginning for beginners is that you stop drinking liquids a half an hour prior to eating and then wait at least an hour and then start drinking again and then drink a lot of liquids. Yeah. If you're stage 4 something or you're an Olympic level athlete or you're just trying to be like super healthy or maybe you've got a presentation where you need super mental acuity the next day or whatever that day, wait and stop drinking liquids an hour before and then wait 2 hours after you eat and then start drinking liquids again and then do a lot of them. Less than 2% of the population is doing that. So again, massive amounts of opportunity here for people to improve their health. And then the last one is core secret number 4. We added this one about a year after, which was doing some breath exercises before work. In my coaching practice, we would help people clean out their digestive tract. We'd get them on the right foods in the right combinations. I teach a class called Proper Food Combining here locally, and I have class notes for it that we share with our private group coaching members, and doing everything right. But they still weren't able to heal all the way. And what I found out was in all those situations, when I peeled back, the blinds or whatever and looked, it was always a high stress situation in that household. Maybe they were taking care of an autistic child. Yeah. Maybe the husband and wife weren't getting along and they were sleeping in different rooms, or one of them was on heroin, or one of them was doing alcohol. There just wasn't a lot of love in the room. Maybe they were taking care of aging parents. Right? Maybe they had a child that was on drugs that was 19 and hanging around the wrong crowds. Maybe it was a stress at work, tremendous amount of stress at work. More today with all the COVID stuff going on and people losing their jobs, there's a tremendous amount of stress. So what we found out is that stress stops you from being able to digest your food, because when you're in stress, you're in this what's called fight or flight mode. And you're not in the other opposite, which is rest and digest. So when your body's in fight or flight, whether you think, I'm not stressed out, you most likely are, if you're in America especially. Yeah. And all we teach people to do is to take some breaths, because if you're in fight or flight mode, all that blood from your organ systems leaves and goes to your extremities so you can fight or flight. So you're not going to digest your food well. So what we teach is the balloon breath. You take a big breath in through your nose like this, and then pause at the top, and then release out through the mouth. Just a nice, long, slow flow. Just kind of let it all go, or forget about your worries, any anxiety problems. They'll be there waiting for you whenever you get done. And then back into the nose and repeat. And we do this with a 1 second pause at the top and bottom on the first hold, 2 second pause on the top and bottom on the second breath, and third so on and so forth, up to 15. Now, most people can't make it to 15 because it's like doing push-ups. You got to work your way up to it. But even if you do it for 4 or 5 or 6, that's fantastic. The habit's more important than how far you get. But you'd be surprised. We've taken people that are completely super anxiety, like on a 1 to 10, they're an 8. And just 2 minutes in that breath work, minute and a half, take them down to a 4 or 5.
Wow.
So this is important, and less than 1% of the population, doctor, is doing this. So again, massive amounts of opportunity here for people to improve their health. Now, if you stack all of those 4 things together, this, we believe, is the foundation to get your gut health and everything in your systems working properly. And it works. And we have thousands and thousands of people doing this. So before our products even show up, because a lot of people hear me on podcasts or radio shows or TV shows, they're like, dude, I can't wait to get your products, but these core 4 secrets are already working, bro. Or the ladies call me up. It's like, wow, this has really made a huge difference for my gas and bloating, and I'm not even on your products yet. So we know they work. It's just a matter of you doing it. Now, to ensure that these things take hold, we recommend people take their cell phone and they program them as recurring appointments in their phone throughout the day when they would do this stuff, to start reprogramming that subconscious mind. Within 3 to 4 months, it's going to be hard to forget these things.
Good call on that. Now, I know you talked about, you drop meat for the most part, you still eat it here and there, but how can we feed the world without meat? I know you have a theory and a suggestion on that.
Well, that's easy. I mean, 70% of the food that we're growing right now goes to feed the animals that we eat, and they need a hell of a lot more of it than we do, right? Like a cow, chickens, turkeys. I mean, it's not that I'm against any of that stuff at all. I mean, like I said, I used to hunt and fish. I was gutting these things myself. But, when you get to the point today, like turkey's an example. Every year during Thanksgiving, I put out a little tweet on social media, because these turkeys, the commercially raised turkeys, they've been hybrids because they're so fat, they can't even have sex.
Oh, geez.
So how are they procreating? They're all artificially inseminated. So I don't want to eat something that can't get laid. It doesn't make sense. It's out of the natural order. I don't like things that's why I want everything to be naturally occurring in nature, and then I'm okay with it, right? But if man gets involved in hybridization and genetic modification and pesticides and fungicides and herbicides and in artificial insemination, and they got some of these chickens, man, they got them growing so fast that when they take X-rays of them, the bones barely even show up, because their breasts are just massive breasts, right? They're just, it's weird. It's like we're eating Franken food, and I just think it's silly.
The hormones and all that stuff is ridiculous.
But that's how you do it. I mean, you just take the food that we're already growing, get rid of the genetically modified corns and the soys and that kind of stuff, take the farmland back, use permaculture, use rock dust, use ionic ocean minerals to remineralize the soils, get back into proper planting practices, take care of the soil, grow high quality food, buy local too. And a lot of people can grow stuff at home, but that's how you feed the world. Just don't give it all to the cows and stuff.
Yeah. And you spoke a little bit about COVID, and obviously, like, in today's world, the immune system is paramount. I mean, it always should have been, but now especially. So how do we build up our immune systems to protect our loved ones and our family members?
Well, the first thing I would suggest is shut off the TV and the news, because fear mongering is going to lower your immune system, period. Okay. Yeah. The virus is out there. It's real. It's out there. Okay. It ain't going to go away. So, but if you turn on the news, it's a coordinated effort with pharmaceutical companies and forced vaccinations and some governors and the news. People can think this is conspiracy theory, but I'm deep into this stuff. I just interviewed Nurse Erin Marie, what's her last name? Olacheski, and she was a major in the U.S. Army, and she was working at the epicenter at the Elmhurst Hospital, and she went undercover after what she saw and exposed everything, and her book just came out. So I just interviewed her. I just interviewed Senator Dr. Scott Jensen, who got Family Physician of the Year award in the whole state of Minnesota. Huge honor. And now he's being bashed because he said, well, he's like, COVID's similar to the flu as far as the deaths at the time when he said it. Yeah. And he also said he didn't like the way that the medical board was forcing him and kind of telling him how to fill out death certificates in regards to COVID. And he said it was like they were trying to get more people to be on those death certificates with COVID. And we know through research and people I've talked to that even people with gunshot wounds that died of gunshot wounds are being listed as COVID deaths. People that are dying of leukemia are being listed as COVID death. Well, they forgot to say that the dude was like stage 12 leukemia, you know?
Yeah. That's great.
So yeah, but boosting the immune system, number one, is turn off the news, get rid of negativity, hang around the people that you love. Get outside and get sunshine, get your vitamin D. That actually, like, vitamin D is it's antiviral. I mean, it's a hormone that's very important. Lots of vitamin A. Where do you get that? Leafy green vegetables, you know, fresh air, negative ions, getting grounded, getting outside and making your bare feet in contact with the ground. That's why I right now I have bare feet. And I am touching a grounding mat below me at my desk. And I also have a grounding mat on my desk, and I sleep on a grounding mat. So that I mean, if you're familiar with earthing or grounding.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just as important as air and water.
Yeah.
And like, how come it took me like 40 years before I even learned about that?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like, we need to know about this stuff. As soon as you guys, for listening, I didn't know this, but as soon as you come out of contact with the earth, inflammation starts in your body and your blood flow slows down. And we can measure this. Like, again, live blood cell microscopy. We can take a blood sample of somebody and we can see their blood moving along, doing its little thing, put them out in the ground for 2 hours or putting them on a grounding mat like this, and then test their blood again, and their blood's racing around.
Yeah.
As soon as you come into contact with the ground, boom, your inflammation drops and you start to heal.
Do you have a mat for like your mattress or?
Oh yeah. I got a queen size mattress on the bed. I got them all over the place. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy sheets. They got sheets now that have silver threads in them. You can just plug in your sheets and wrap up in the sheets too.
Very cool. What's the
I'm gonna
you use for that?
Earthing.com.
Earthing.com.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's where I go for that one. So those are some things to boost the immune system. The other things, what we do is we teach daily detoxing. So the core 4 secrets, everything we just shared, all that stuff's going to boost your immune system. But in regards to COVID, high doses of vitamin A. Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's running for senator in Massachusetts.
I do.
Yeah, I freaking love this guy because I've been nerding and geeking out on health and a little bit of politics for the last 3 years. And everything that guy says is right on the money. And I'm learning a lot of stuff from him that I didn't even know. Like crazy. I mean, he's calling out everybody.
I've seen him on I don't know if he was in Congress, like going off on people, but yeah, I've seen him go.
Yeah, he is smart.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude is smart. If you get a PhD from MIT, you're considered pretty damn smart. He's got 4 of them.
I'd say so.
And he taught there. And he's one of the premier experts on the immune system in the world. And he's the one telling everybody, he's like, look, it was 8 months ago, he was invited to do the keynote speech at this huge immune summit, which is the biggest one in the world where all the scientists and the doctors go to. And he was the one that presented the new model of the immune system. It's not just the adaptive and the innate. He was talking about the interferon system and how our bodies want and desire viruses and bacteria so they can become stronger with that resilience. And he talked about the bacterial system in the gut and the brain system and how there's actually 5 compartments, not just 2. And that old models and the whole pharmaceutical and Western medicine is based on a 2 compartmentalized model. And it's so old and outdated. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. So we have this guy, and he wrote a letter to President Trump saying, hey, look, if people are getting diagnosed with, COVID, the best thing to do is 500,000 international units of vitamin A, 50,000 international units of vitamin D, and zinc. And for people that are really bad, you put them on 100 grams of hopefully tapioca-based vitamin C drip IVs, and pretty much handled. Okay, let's get back to work. Now that's the natural approach, right?
That doesn't make money at the end of the
Well, that's the natural approach. Yeah. But then you have things that are working now, like hydroxychloroquine, which is zinc, and you have budesonide, that inhaled steroid that's working with that Dr. Richard Bartlett. And I did some research on this. So if you guys haven't heard this is pretty interesting. We've got between Taiwan, Japan, and Singapore, there's 151 million people there. They have been using for COVID similar to what Dr. Richard Bartlett was using in Texas. It was similar to budesonide. It was an inhaled steroid with zinc. And guess what? As of July 13th, 2020, out of 151 million people, only 1,015 deaths. Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
pretty damn good. No, how come that's not on the mainstream media? Because guys, you're not going to hear stories of recovery. You're not going to hear nothing but bad, death. It's getting worse. Second wave, all this stuff. Coordinated effort to fear people and get them. And that nurse I just said, she's had people come in with coughs and colds and flus, freaked out of their mind and think they're going to instantly just vaporize because of COVID. And then what do? They sedate them, they put them on paralytics, they intubate them, and they put them on floors with infected COVID patients. And then a lot of these people came in with no COVID, and they walked out of there, well, in a gurney, they're dead. They got pushed out of there, and then they were marked as a COVID death, and the hospital gets $39,000 for that.
Wow, unbelievable,
crazy.
It's crazy. It's so much conflicting information out there. It's like, I feel like not only, is the fear mongering crazy, but, it's just confusing to a lot of people. And people don't know what to believe. It's crazy.
Yeah. And there might be some people out there saying, hey, Tim, you're an anti-vaxxer, blah, blah, blah. Where's the double-blind peer-reviewed studies? Well, dude, that stuff takes like $5 billion in 13 to 15 years. We don't have time for that. Yeah. But what we do have is we have doctors right now that were just on this at the Washington court, right, the Supreme Court, right out on the steps. Multiple doctors flew in from all over the world, or all of the United States, excuse me, and said, we've been treating people successfully with hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and zithromycin, which I don't think the zithromycin is necessary, but that's what they're doing. And this doctor says, I've healed 40 people. We've healed 50. And this one doctor said, I've healed 350 people, and one of my patients was 92. And hydroxychloroquine has been out for 65 years. So here I am, somebody who is probably, I don't believe in vaccines. I don't think we really need them, but it works. So if you can get your hands on hydroxychloroquine and zinc and your doctor's going to prescribe it, you can be well very quickly, or budesonide. So go do that, because we need to get back to work, because there's 800,000 people are going to die of suicides if we're on the current trends, in addition to what we're going to have. And the United Nations said we're going to have an additional 30 million people in third world countries dying of starvation because of supply chain delays because of COVID. So we're talking about millions of people are dying because of the shutdown. So we just need to boost the immune system, get back to work. And if you get sick, you can either do it naturally with the vitamins in the food, or in high dose vitamin C IVs for critical things, or you can, do hydroxychloroquine and zinc, or budesonide and zinc, or a combination of those things with zithromycin, and get back to work. And if you're older and, more susceptible, quarantine yourself, and do all this other stuff too. Yeah. But anyway, that's my take on it from what I've seen.
Now, switching gears to supplements, obviously you provide supplements to your community. Why do you think you say supplements some of them are toxic, but which ones do you feel?
Most of them are toxic.
Most of them are toxic. Okay. So which ones do you feel aren't toxic and are actually beneficial to the body?
Well, first off, you have to understand that 85% of the supplements on the market are owned by pharmaceutical companies. These are pure synthetics, and a synthetic nutrient is just a synthetic molecule. And where do they do this? It's like a perfect example is aspirin. Where does that come from? It comes from white willow bark. So why not just take white willow bark so it comes into your body with the full spectrum? I used this for my mom when she had 6 teeth pulled, right? When she had to get her some upper denture plate deal done. And we also used homeopathic arnica. And then I did some CBD as well for my mom. 74 years old, 6 tooth removed, and her pain was never more than a 2 or a 3 on a 1 to 10 scale after having 6 teeth pulled. Wow. So white willow bark, they take an isolated nutrient and they make aspirin out of it. And aspirin's dangerous. It's toxic, right? But big companies have been built on this stuff. So, you've got that going on. So then the last 15% that's left are people like me that wanted to start a supplement company. But I wanted to do it because of frustration, because I would do all this research. Now, I didn't have a supplement brand when I first started coaching. I was just coaching people. Yeah. And I would do all the research, and you can't really see it, but I tried to show you earlier. This is like one of our products. But anyway, I would do all this research, and I get, Jim, take this for your gut health and get your gut cleaned. And this is going to purify your blood. And this is the these are the probiotics that we're going to take to recolonize your gut. And I also want you to eat raw sauerkrauts and raw kimchi and get out in the dirt. We really want to get that bacterial good bacterial gut biome going again in your gut. And here's the digestive enzymes to take when you're eating your heavy foods. We're going to chew your food well. So we have protocols. And then here's the green powder to take to juice, because you're not juicing. You're not going to buy a juicer, but you'll scoop it, shake it, and go. And so I believe in 2 green juices a day will change everybody's life. So I do all this research, and then 6 months later, I'm looking, and all of a sudden, I'm like, silicon dioxide, that wasn't in there before. What's that? And I go look it up, and it's like a level 3 toxin on the EPA's toxin list, yet it's okay to be in supplements. And then I started looking around all these supplements, and then I find ones that didn't have this stuff. And then 6 months later, they've got like xanthan gum in it, which is mutated corn syrup fermented in bacteria. And I'm like, what the hell is this for? And they put it in stuff so that when you shake a drink, it will, you don't have to shake it twice. It doesn't settle. It emulsifies this, because Americans don't want to shake things twice. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah.
So out of frustration, I built a supplement line. Now, you asked a really important question. What is the supplements you should eat? Well, you should only put into your body supplements that naturally occur in nature. That's it. They have to naturally occur. And besides that, you also have to read the other ingredients, because I could be like, I put this great formula together like I do with my formulator, Dr. Scott Treadway. It's awesome. It's going to kick ass. It's going to help you lose weight or detox or whatever, right? Then we send it off to a manufacturer. Well, that manufacturer, by FDA guidelines, they are allowed to put certain amounts of magnesium stearate or silicon dioxide or dicalcium phosphate in, because these are called flow agents or binders or fillers, because synthetic nutrients don't take up a lot of space, yet Americans don't want to buy an empty pill, so they got to fill it up with something. So they fill it up with this garbage, right? Yeah. Or the flow agents keep their encapsulation machines from caking up. So it's all about production. Get that stuff in, because if it cakes up their machines, it slows down production. They have to clean them out. It's a mess. So anti-caking for production, but not good for your body. So that's why we tell people it's not just the ingredients, it's the other ingredients, and they truly have to be naturally occurring in nature. And the easiest way for most people to find out if you have this is go look at your multivitamin. And if it says vitamin C, and then behind it, in parentheses, absorbic acid, you're consuming a chemical. It should say, if it's a whole food vitamin, it would say from the Arceola cherry, or from the camu berry, or the best one, from the amla berry. And that's what it would say.
Got it. And also a big problem in our society is, the sugar epidemic. What would you say are some good sugar alternatives for those out there?
Well, the first thing to identify that got me off of sugar is when I saw the actual molecule structure compared to a cocaine molecule, because they're almost identical in structure. And we found that sugar is 3 times more addictive than cocaine. Yep. So what we recommend for non-sugar alternatives, there's a brand out there called Stevita brand stevia. And what I like about them is they process without the chemicals, and instead of using alcohol as a preservative, which alcohol in the body converts to what? Sugar. So we're trying to get away from sugar. Yeah. They preserve it with a grapefruit seed extract, which is actually a nice little antioxidant. Smart. That's how I like. The other thing you can do is monk fruit. That's what we do with our green 85 juice formula. We use a little monk fruit in there and raspberry extract to kind of knock the green taste down, so it doesn't, it's not like you're drinking out of a pond. You know what I mean? And you can get all those nutrients down, without choking on it. It makes a huge difference. But if for sugar sweeteners, if somebody was saying, hey, I'm gonna eat sugar, then I would say use dates or date sugar or molasses. Those would probably be the most natural. Now, if you're in stage 4 cancer or something like that, then I tell people, you have any big disease, then like nothing, no sugar, because natural fruit sugars are actually going to grow that cancer faster than, processed cane sugar. And why? Because the cane sugar has been stripped away of most of all the nutrients, the bioflavonoids, the cofactors, and all that stuff. So it might only hit on 5 receptors on that cancer for growth, whereas the natural sugar from a sweet apple or an orange or watermelon or carrot is going to hit on all 74 or 75, right? Yeah. So those are just rough numbers, but just to give you guys the picture there. So that's what we know this at the Hippocrates Health Institute, because they used to juice beets and carrots. And then they had this gal named Edie Mae Hunsberg that came there, healed herself. But then every fall, her tumors would come back. Yeah. And then they would go away. And every fall they'd come back. Well, they found out that in the fall, she loved dates and figs. And down in California, everybody who loved her brought her over a bunch of dates and figs in the fall. So she'd eat all this sugar, natural sugar, and her tumors would come back. So she wrote a book, How I Healed Cancer Naturally, that sold over 1 million copies back in like the 50s or 60s or 70s or something. And that's where I think the Hippocrates Health Institute actually got a lot of their clients in the beginning, was because of her. So from that, they learned, they got rid of all sugar, and they noticed a 26% faster recovery time in all patients aboard on all disease when they completely removed sugar from the diet at that place.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's amazing. So talk about how big of a factor is intermittent fasting in your program? And how
well, it's man, it's a massive deal. I mean, why do you think keto's doing so well? Because they have intermittent
bulletproof coffee every morning.
They have intermittent fasting in there as a key component. And I'm telling you, like, you look at all these different things, like people are like, well, what do you think about paleo? And I'm like, well, I love it because it gets people off of sugar and dairy, and it's progress. Do I believe in all parts of it? No. What do I like about keto? Well, I like it that they really promote fasting, and intermittent fasting is huge. So if you look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out, but we were nomadic people for almost the entirety of the time we walked this planet, right? So we would come to, like I always say, like Dr. Clement taught me, like a meadow, and then we'd sit down and we'd eat maybe the ancestors of spinach or cabbage or a root vegetable or something, or maybe berries in the fall or whatever. And apples back then were not what they are today. They've been so hybrid. Like, you ever ate a crab apple?
Never. No.
Okay. Those are pretty bitter. Those are sweeter than the original apples. Okay. So we're talking, man's messed with stuff a lot. But so you'd eat one food monolithically, and then you would walk for 2 or 3 days and you wouldn't eat anything. And then you would find food and you would eat again. So most of the entirety of time we walked the planet, we'd eat, and then we'd rest a day or two with no eating, and then we'd eat again. And we might forage a little bit, but so I gave our digestive tracts a chance to rest and the chance to clean itself out. I can tell you on like Wednesdays, I do liquid nourishment day. I don't do any heavy meals, 1 day a week. And on those days, that's when I do my private group coaching. I schedule a lot of my podcasts and stuff like that, because my mental acuity is I'm so much sharper on the day that I don't eat. But by fasting, it's so cool because your body starts to clean up your digestive tract. It starts to clean up dead cells. Yeah. It balances and stabilizes hormones. In fact, a 3-day water fast will do a complete reset in your body. It's a complete immune system reset. And if you want to make it better, do that for 2 or 3 days on a water fast, and then go sit in nature for 2 days. And you can completely reset your circadian rhythms of your wake times and your sleep times. No cell phones, no notepad, no nothing. Just go sit your ass in a meadow or next to some trees and watch a bee and watch a butterfly and just chill. Yeah. Right. Now, how many people say, oh, I couldn't take it all in? Guess what? You do 2-3 day water fast. You go out in the woods and do that. You'll come back a changed individual.
Yeah, amazing.
Not just with your health, but your whole outlook on life and what's important.
Yeah. So Tim, let the audience know how they can find you, how they can find your supplements. And I know you have a little special deal for my listeners specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can just find us at chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com. And let me look in the notes here. I want to make sure. Did Stephanie give you the code? What it would be? So we'll give you guys 5% off for Dr. Abs here, what do you want the discount code to be? Dr. Abs?
Could be Dr. Abs.
Okay, that'll be it. So if you just punch in Dr. Abs, guys, at checkout, you'll get 5% off your first purchase.
Awesome.
That's it. Pretty awesome. And also, if you like some more free information, I have my own podcast called The Health Hero Show, and I go deep on proper food combining, detoxing, nutrition. I've got like really cool people coming on the podcast, like Senator and Dr. Scott Jensen. And I actually interviewed Dr. Brian Clement, who is one of the co-directors of the Hippocrates Health Institute, that place where I started my journey. And then other people that have healed themselves naturally. And, some of them are like me. We're just, nobodies that are just trying to do good things. And they have got great stories, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. And that's a lot of good free information at the Health Hero Show.
Absolutely. Well, Tim, I just want to thank you for so many nuggets of information that you've dropped today. I really appreciate it. I think, the listeners are really going to take a lot from this episode, and I just appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I hope so. And what I would really like to have happen is like 2 things. Number one is just to let people know that the most important thing that you can do is put yourself first. Period. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people in my coaching program, they put themselves last, and that's why they called me. because the wheel fell off and now all of a sudden they can't work. They're sick. They're having all these health issues. Now they're trying to scramble to get their health back. Don't be one of those statistics. Look around. We got some major problems going on in this country. And the answer is not complication. It's simplicity and getting back to nature. So put yourself first and do that, especially if you have kids, because by you doing that, you're going to give your kids permission to do the same thing and put themselves first and lead by example.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is I hope that you get some really good comments from your audience saying, hey, wow, we implemented those core 4 secrets and wow, I've already got this happening. I've dropped 5 pounds, or my headaches are going away, my gut's better, my gas and bloating's gone. And then if you guys get a chance to try out the products, we are a very small company over here. My son makes phone calls. You might hear from him or me or Stephanie. And we just appreciate you. And we have a double your money back guarantee, not to be a salesperson, but I just want people to try our stuff so bad because I know what it'll do for them once they get those core 4 secrets in the foundation, throw the products on top of it. And then from there, everything else just gets better. We made it really easy for people.
Wow. It's amazing. Thank you so much for that. And I appreciate you coming on and look forward to talking to you again.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Dr. Abs.
All right.
Appreciate you letting me on, brother.
All right. Take care. Have a good one.
Have a good day.